सर
हेलो।
जी सर, हमारा एक ग्रुप खोलना चाहिए क्योंकि मैं अभी क्लास कब से स्टार्ट हो गया है, लेकिन मैं जिस जो दिन क्लास ज्वाइन करना चाहता हूँ लेकिन ज्वाइन नहीं हो पाता हूँ, तो इसीलिए मैंने आज पहली बार ज्वाइन किया हूँ। तो सर एक
तो
ग्रुप हमारा।
already we have opened a group, and you okay,
सर
come in
मैं
that group.
मैं मैं
You
उस
join in
ग्रुप
that.
पे नहीं हूँ।
Now you
सर काइंडली माय नंबर इज एडेड दिस ग्रुप।
okay. You tell those who are doing that, creating and adding, tell them they will do. You come and join in that group. You also join, so you will be benefited.
सर
Okay.
प्लीज ज्वाइन द माय नंबर इन दिस ग्रुप।
Okay. Others are there. They will do.
जी 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 सर, मेरा
Okay.
कोई कांटेक्ट नहीं है ना, अभी मेरा कोई दोस्त भी नहीं है ना, तो इसलिए मैं आज फर्स्ट टाइम पे ज्वाइन हुआ हूँ।
Okay. Okay.
तो इसीलिए मैंने तो कुछ समझ नहीं आता है, तो इसलिए मैंने सर आपको बोला कि मेरा नंबर जो है ना उस ग्रुप में ऐड कर देगा तो अच्छा होगा यार, इन्फॉर्मेशन जल्दी मिल जाएगा।
Okay, so you see those who are doing, you tell your friends now present here in this class, they may do it. Hello, friends. So you tell your classmates now, those who are here now attending the classes. So it's their task to do. Okay.
सर कैसे
Start.
किसका नंबर कैसे लाऊं, मैं समझ नहीं आता।
Okay. After you give me the class after the give your number after the class, we will do that. Okay.
जी जी सर।
After the class,
Good evening,
we
sir.
will do that. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening to you all.
Sir, even my number is also not added.
Uh,
Yes, sir. So
okay.
kindly add my number.
Okay, after the class, you make your queries and we'll
Good evening, sir.
take note of. Okay, hello.
Okay, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, good evening to all. Just will start now. Okay, start now. Let others come because 6:35 now going on. So, as you know that, so welcome to that is literary criticism and theory MEG-5 discussion block 3. So already on the very first day, am I audible? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, you are audible.
Okay. So on the very first day, we discussed that the first topic, that is block 1, an introduction, and also new, though not fully and completely, but something. Also, previous class also knew a lot about our previous, that is block 2. So today to start, that is block 3 of MEG-5, literary criticism and theory. So discussion is romantic criticism. Understand? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Huh.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So whenever I'm asking you speak yes. Though not I'm able to see your face, but always speak yes. Okay. Speak
Okay, sir.
yes. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
as you all are passive listeners. So always try to act like active listeners. So whether doing it or not, I can't because online. But just speak.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. So
Excuse me,
that's
sir.
hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Speak.
Yes, sir. So yesterday, sir, you were given break, sir. After that, sir, somehow I was not able to join the class. So you were explaining the six element of tragedy separately. So after that, I was not able to write notes.
Okay, now
So
you
sir, can you
see,
explain from
that's
there?
uh, previous classes in completed discussions can be done this time right now because now to start the new discussion means some lines about the new present presentation, that is unit 3 means block 3. Do you get me? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Because you see, left out discussion, suppose you are absent, and like you also some others are absent. So it is to be dealt if time permits later at the end or at the end of the all the session, that on the very final day, last day. Okay, so taking half an hour again, we
Okay, sir.
may recap our last discussion. Okay, so recap our last discussion. All will be done these days. That on the last final day of our session. Okay, so that's today to start a romantic criticism. As earlier I told, I have been discussing with you, taking some important points in short, as well as some short questions. So also today the same. Today the same. As you know, the time is very short. Within that 2 hour duration, so impossible to complete, but we'll make it possible. So that is romantic criticism. Uh, so what did romanticism mean? Romantic, needless to give a lot of lectures about that. What is romantic? So you know better than me also. So what is romanticism, or what did romanticism mean? What? So because step by step, just I'm discussing, that's I'm dealing with you. So some teeny points, small some points, just I'm explaining in 3 to 4 lines, because all these points are very essential, very important to all of you. Just you must gain some idea about all these. You must have gained, no doubt is there, but let's now know what
Sir, the
did
state or quality of being romantic.
romanticism mean? What did romanticism mean, or what do you mean by romanticism? You see, romanticism is the artistic movement. Romanticism is the artistic movements of the 18th and 19th centuries, which was concerned with the expressions of individual feelings and emotions. Again, repeating for
Yes,
your
sir.
clear cut understanding, Romanticism is the artistic movement. Romanticism is the artistic movement of the 18th and 19th centuries, which was concerned with the expression of the individual's feelings and emotions. That's enough. Needless to speak a lot about all this. Okay. Then what is the symbol of romanticism? Just,
So
Hello,
you are
sir.
just,
concerned with, sir?
just.
Hello.
What is this? Hello.
Sir, please repeat.
What is the symbol of romanticism? Symbol. Point
Sir,
number
which is
two.
concerned with after that, sir?
Symbol of romanticism, because just I'm explaining all these points
Hello, sir.
in a
Excuse me,
nutshell,
sir.
in short
Hello.
taking. Hello.
Ah, yes, sir. You were repeating the point, sir. After that 19th century, which was concerned with, sir. After that, I was not able to write. Please, sir,
Concerned with the
explain to me.
expressions of the individual's feelings and emotions. Individuals feelings and emotions. Clear? Yes. So now
Yes,
what
sir,
is,
clear.
yes, now what is the symbol of romanticism? Now what is the symbol of romanticism? Like blue flower, a blue flower was a central symbol of inspiration for the romanticism. So nowadays, you might be watching a red flower, the reddest rose in the world. So we have a poem called The Nightingale and the Rose. You might have gone through that poem. You might
Sir,
have gone through that
Yes, sir.
Nightingale and the
yes,
Rose.
sir. Excuse me, sir. A
Ha,
blue
ha.
flower is a
Okay,
central
see,
symbol of.
yes, so it's very interesting and love story between a boy and a girl, between a college going boy
Yes,
and a
sir.
college going
Excuse me,
girl.
sir.
Sound is coming, mic up,
Excuse me, sir.
mute. Mukul, mute your voice, sound is coming. Okay,
Sir,
so the
sir, I am asking, sir, there is a one question. A blue flower is a central symbol of what?
central symbol of inspiration for the romanticism movement.
Okay,
Romanticism movement. Okay, but you know that a red flower is a symbol of romanticism. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Red,
yes, sir.
because
Yes, sir.
you might have seen that the Nightingale and the Rose, that the poem you might have that's covered up that time whenever you might have been plus two. So that boy, that girl told to the boy, college going boy, I am able to do everything with you, provided that if you give me the rose, not the rose, but the reddest rose in the world, go and give me as soon as possible. Then I will just hug you. I will just take my breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything with you. Also, I will put my hands on your soldier, and I may go to the theaters to sit with you just for watching movie. Everything I am able to do if you give me the reddest rose in the world. These are the version of the girl to the boy. Well, leave that. So, a blue flower was a central symbol of inspiration for the Romanticism movement and remains an enduring motifs. Motifs means a decorative image or a design, especially a repeated one forming a pattern, a decorative image or design.
Sir, after remain, sir.
Okay, just repeating. A blue flower was a central symbol of inspiration for the Romanticism movement and remains an enduring motif in Western art today. Means image or design, decorative image or design in Western art today. It stands for desire, love, and the metaphysical striving for the infinite and unreachable. It's the symbol of romanticism. Now we knew what did romanticism mean, then what is the symbol of romanticism, then who is the father of romantic criticism, because discussion is about romantic criticism. Who is the father of as you know, Shakespeare is the father of drama. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
so on. Okay, like that. And so who is the father of romantic criticism? Robert Burton. Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T. Robert Burton is considered or regarded the pioneer or trendsetter, or you may call as the father of the romantic movement. Robert Burton. Robert Burns is considered the pioneer of the romantic movement. Who are the first romantic writer? You see, first romantic writer and second coming in second generation. Okay, to whom we can call at the first romantic writer coming in the first generation at the very beginning. Those who are coming at after them. So, who are the first romantic writer? Blake,
William
Wordsworth,
Blake.
Blake, Wordsworth, and Coleridge. Blake,
Sir,
Wordsworth. Hello.
sorry, sir. William Blake, sir. William Blake, yeah.
Yes. W. Blake. William Blake. Blake, W.
Ji,
Blake,
sir. Thank you.
William Blake, Wordsworth, and Coleridge were first generation romantics. Remember, attention. Blake, Wordsworth, and Coleridge were first generation romantics, writing against a backdrop of war. Writing against a backdrop of war. Backdrop means a pointed cloth hung
Sir,
up.
excuse me,
Backdrop
sir.
means the scenery,
Hello.
activities of war.
Sir,
Wordsworth,
excuse me, sir.
however, Wordsworth, however, became
Hello.
increasingly conservative.
Sir, kindly repeat that. Black, Wordsworth, and Coleridge were
Black,
the
uh,
first.
Black, Wordsworth, and
Yes,
Coleridge were
yes.
first generation romantics. They belong to first generation
Sir,
romantics.
excuse me,
But
sir.
father of
So it is fast or first, sir?
first, FIRST, first.
Acha, acha.
Like,
Okay.
not fast, but fast, the pronunciation, the sound of the words are same, but meanings are different. FAST, it is what I am speaking, FIRST, first, second, that first. So
Okay,
we
sir.
are first generation romantics, writing against a backdrop of war. Wordsworth, however, became increasingly conservative. Conservative means that is holding traditional values, averse to change or innovation, and holding traditional values. Wordsworth, however, became increasingly conservative in his outlook. Indeed, so now you knew the names of some renowned persons belonging to past generation romantics. So now let's know
Sir,
some others
excuse me,
belonging
sir.
to.
I
Hello.
didn't get the last line's meaning. Can you please explain that last lines like Wordsworth, like a conservative?
Wordsworth became increasingly conservative. Conservative means holding traditional values.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
traditional values. Only that never goes in favor of today's thoughts, modern outlook.
Not
Okay,
liberalism, only they are following that orthodox traditions.
authors, conservative.
Yes.
Conservative in his outlook. Indeed, second generation romantics such as Byron. Okay, second generation. So first generation, the three, Blake, Wordsworth, and Coleridge, they were regarded as the first generation romantics, and second generation romantics were Byron, okay, P.B. Shelley, that is Shelley, Byron, Shelley, and Keats. Okay, so they belong to second generation romantics, and Blake, Wordsworth, and Coleridge belong to first generation romantics. Because discussion is about romantic criticism, so also giving you a clear cut idea about all this in short. So that is second generation romantics such as Byron, Shelley, and Keats felt that okay, Byron, Shelley, and Keats, that's enough. Then what is romantic theory of literature? What is romantic theory of literature? What is romantic theory of literature? Now you knew what did romanticism mean, what is the symbol of romanticism, and uh, who is the father of romanticism, and who belongs to the first generation romantics and second generation romantics. So now, speaking, what is romantic theory of literature or characteristics of romanticism? Romantic literature is marked by six primary elements or six primary characteristics. Romantic literature is marked by six primary characteristics. One, celebration of nature. Okay, celebration of means they give much more importance on nature. They always just stand in front of the flora and fauna of nature and try to guess, try to speculate, and give a form in give a shape in their writing. Okay, or
Sir, can
give
you
it a
repeat
new
the
form,
first one?
or give it a new form in their writing. Who that is romantic literature
Sir,
is marked by six primary characteristics: celebration of nature, one; focus on the individual and the spirituality, two; focus on the individual and the spirituality. Okay, individual means person and religion. Spiritual means a religion. Religion, individuality and spiritual. Sorry, individual and spirituality. Celebration of isolation and melancholy. Isolation means to lead a single life, lonely life, and melancholy means sad. Okay. So that
Excuse
is
me, sir. The
hello,
celebration of aloneness that sir focus on
isolation,
the individual.
isolation and melancholy.
Sir, this is the
Isolation.
third point, right?
Third.
Can you please repeat that
Isolation.
again?
Isolation and
Sir,
melancholy.
melancholy means?
MELANC. Melancholy means sadness. He is in a melancholic mood. Melancholic means sad mood. Okay, depressed mood, uninterested mood. Well, sure, isolation and melancholy. Interest in the common man. Interest in the common man. Idealization of women and personification and pathetic fallacy. Idealization of a woman and personification and pathetic fallacy. Fallacy means that is a mistaken belief, especially based on unsound arguments. Fallacy means misconception, mistaken belief or misconception, fallacy.
Sir,
So,
please repeat the sixth point.
okay.
Ideal. Yes, sir.
Interest in the common man. Okay, so that is the last characteristic, interest in the common man, idealization of women, how to give a better position to the women. So, idealization of women and personification and pathetic fallacy. Okay, then what are the themes of romantic criticism? Themes. Same. The four major themes of romanticism are, so we have four major themes of romanticism, means we come across these four major themes in romantic writings or romanticism. So the four major themes of romanticism are emotion and imagination, nature and social class. Remember, the four major themes of romanticism are emotion and imagination, clear, nature and social class. Okay, so these are the prime major themes of romanticism. Now,
Sir, excuse me, sir.
oh,
Sir,
hello.
that you said four major themes of romanticism. What do
Uh,
you mean by this four major theme? That means it is based on the plot of that particular
yes, yes,
point?
yes, yes,
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
yes. So now, what is romanticism? Now, what is the same lines, just with a very new presentation I am citing before you. What is romanticism? Romanticism was a literary movement. Romanticism was a literary movement that emphasized individualism and emotion. As I told, uh, just prior to that, just recently I told you,
Sir,
okay,
after
all these
individual, sir.
lines. Romanticism was a literary movement that emphasized individualism and emotion. Just prior to that, I was just expressing before you the major themes of romanticism, individualism and emotion, nature, all these. Okay. So romanticism was a literary movement that emphasized individualism and emotion. The romantic era means age lasted from the end of 18th century to the middle of the 19th century. The romantic age lasted means continued or ended from the end of the 18th century. end of 18th century to the middle of the 19th century. And the effects are still evident, mean the results, effects means the consequences or the results are still evident throughout modern literature. Okay.
Sir, you mean to say that Romanticism is come into existence on formed of at the end of 18th century to the middle of 19th century. All the
19th
literature
century.
books and all the things, huh?
Yes. But the
Okay.
effects are still, means the results or the happenings
After
are
that, sir,
still
evidence throughout modern, sir. After that,
or the effects are still evident, clear throughout modern literature. In the entire that activities of modern literature, or presentations of modern literature, we see that this romantic ideas or forms and structures. The romantic works were a reaction. Romantic works were a reaction to the age of enlightenment and the advancing industrial age. Okay,
Please say that again. The romantic works were a reaction of the age of.
age of in reaction to the age of
Huh.
enlightenment means knowledge and the advancing industrial age. Present age, advancing industrial age, because middle of 19th century, end of 18th, middle of 19th, so enlightenment and the advancing, not completely advanced, developing and developed. India is a developing country, but America and all these are developed, already developed. So it's just marching towards development. Well, so romantic works were a reaction to the age of enlightenment and the advancing industrial age, a time in which a time in which science and rationalization, a time in which science and rationalization began to take firmer hold, means strong hold in the public consciousness. In the public consciousness. Romantic literature challenged this new wave of ideas by telling stories rooted in emotions,
Sir, romantic
nature.
literature. So
Huh,
romantic literature challenge.
romantic literature challenged this new wave of ideas. Which new wave of ideas? That with the advancement of enlightenment and industrial age, in which science and rationalization began to take firmer stronghold. Okay, industrialization, that is enlightenment, science and rest, all these. So the romantic critics challenged all these features. Okay, so romantic literature challenged this new wave of ideas by telling stories, okay, rooted in emotions, nature, idealism, and the subjective experiences of common men and women. Understand? This is the difference. Okay?
So emotion rooted in emotion.
Emotions, nature. Here I am telling romantic literature challenged this new wave of ideas by telling stories rooted in emotions. Okay? If one becomes emotional, then how does he act and react? So how shall we write stories based on emotions, emotional feelings, nature? Because nature, watching the flora and fauna of nature, the beautiful that play of the nature. Also, we can give it a new shape in our romantic writings. So, how birds fly, how rivers flow, how trees just start wavering, means twittering. Okay, so that's nature. We bring a lot of things from nature. We extract many uh, things from nature and give it a shape in our writing. So new wave of ideas by telling stories rooted in emotions, nature, idealism, and the subjective experience of common men and women, ordinary men and women. Okay, the feelings, emotions, suggestions, ideas of country people, rustic people, or village people. It is important to note that it is important to note that romanticism. It is important to note that romanticism as a literary movement is not the same thing as the literary activities of romance novels. Literary, that period of romance novels. Romanticism may be an influence. Romanticism may be an influence.
Sir,
Maybe
romanticism,
an
again, please say that
roman,
line.
uh, romanticism may be an influence on today's romance novels. Yes or no? Today's, so we
Yes,
take
sir.
it as romance novels. So this is the meaning. We usually assume the meaning of the word as romance. Okay, a love tale between. Okay, so romanticism may be an influence on today's romance novels, but romance novels do not typically possess all the elements central to romantic era literature. Also, the term romantic doesn't refer directly to romantic love. Also, the term romantic doesn't refer directly to romantic love. It comes from the medieval French activities. The term for an epic chivalrous chivalrous quest told in verse. Chivalrous means uh, having the qualities of chivalry, means courage or courtesy, courtesy and loyalty. Chivalrous means having the courage, courtesy and loyalty.
Sir, can you repeat the last point, please?
The term romantic doesn't refer directly to romantic love. It comes from the medieval French outlook. The term for an epic chivalrous quest mean thought told in verse. Told in verse. The history of romanticism, the history of
Excuse me, sir.
romantic, yes, yes.
But sir,
Chivalrous. Chivalrous
what is,
means that
sir, what is the meaning of a quest?
quest means that your, you see, we have to go in quest of getting that. We must
Yes,
have to just
searching.
have an
Yes,
searching or feeling
in search of something, in
or
search of something.
inner
Quest.
interest
Okay, okay, sir. Okay,
or
sir. Thank you.
or keen, okay, keen
Okay, sir. Thank you.
interest. Okay, quest. The history of romanticism, romantic literature emerged at a time when the world was undergoing a sea of thoughts and ideas. Because as discussion is romantic criticism, so just we are collecting a lot of ideas about all these.
So the
Who is the
history of
father?
romantic literature
How did
after
it
that, sir.
come? What is the major theme of romanticism? And what do you mean by romanticism? And what is the symbol of romanticism? Okay. What do you mean by romantic criticism? Everything. Unless until
Sir,
know all
sir,
this.
the his,
So,
hello, sir.
okay, you can be clear or
Excuse me,
crystal
sir.
clear. Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. The
Hello?
history of romantic literature after that, sir. Please repeat.
I'm telling. The history of romanticism. Romantic literature, romantic literature emerged, means came out at a time or came into being, emergence came into being at a time when the world was undergoing a sea of changes and ideas. When the world was undergoing a sea of changes and ideas. That time, romantic literature was written. A sea of changes, a sea of change of thoughts and ideas. The age of enlightenment means knowledge produced a new breed of philosophers. Because as you know, romantic works were a reaction to the age of enlightenment. Enlightenment, romantic literature or works were a reaction to the age of enlightenment and the advancing industrial age. As earlier I told, okay, this is the
Yes, sir.
feature of romantic literature or romanticism. So, the age of enlightenment produced a new breed, means type, new type of philosophers. Breed means type, new type of philosophers and scientists who
Sir, can you
challenge
please repeat the last line? At the
the
age of
age,
what?
the age of enlightenment produced. Because enlightenment, you know, it's the age of enlightenment, as earlier I told, the age of enlightenment produced, means gave a new type of philosophers and a scientist who challenged long held ideas about how human thoughts lived and came to be. The Industrial Revolution, quite naturally, the Industrial Revolution, as you know, romantic works were a reaction to the age of enlightenment and the advancing industrial age. Okay, advancing industrial age. So, the Industrial Revolution quite naturally was not on the heels of enlightenment. The ideas, the ideas, the ideas and the theories formed in the latter now came to life in exciting new inventions that charged the way people lived and worked. That charged the way people lived and worked.
Sir, repeat that again, please. The idea
The
and theories in the form of.
the ideas and the ideas and the theories formed in the latter means industrialization, because enlightenment and industrialization, now just we are focusing on these 2 points, enlightenment and industrialization. So latter means former always stands opposite to latter. Okay, so uh, the ideas and theories formed in the latter now came to life in exciting new inventions that changed the way people lived and worked. English Romanticism began in Great Britain. Understand? It began in Great Britain with the emergence of poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, S.T. Coleridge, Lord Byron, and P.B. Shelley. Today also, in this session, in the present discussion also will discuss Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads and that Collins, okay, um, production, writing, and Byron's, P.P. Shelley's, okay, defense of a poetry. Okay, P.P. Shelley as a romantic poet have. Okay, we will discuss it later. So these are the beginnings. That's English Romanticism began in Great Britain with the emergence of poets, coming out of poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, Lord Byron, and P.B. Shelley. Okay, so they are the first and foremost poets of that's English Romanticism. Okay, and they began in Great. It started in Great Britain. The key characteristics now characteristics of Romanticism. 2 to 3 lines. Characteristics of Romanticism. The key characteristics of Romanticism are emotional intensity. Just prior to that, just I have told you the same thing. So now adding some new lines. The key characteristics of Romanticism are emotional intensity, imagination, and a focus on the individual as well as nature and human emotion. Again, the key characteristics of romanticism are emotional intensity, imagination, and a focus on the individual as well as nature and human emotion. Nature and human emotion. So now, person discuss Wordsworth. So now you knew a lot about that's literature. That's romantic literature. What is romanticism, and many more about romantic backdrops. Okay. So now to start, that's Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads. Also in this session, in this that block 3, so we have to start Wordsworth preface to, because Wordsworth has written many poems, but here it is mentioned to start preface to lyrical ballads. We have been asked to start, or I have been asked to deal with you preface to lyrical ballads, as mentioned in the syllabus. Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads. So it's an essay. Uh, it's an essay. Just 2 minutes.
Mrityunjay, unmute your mic, please. Sir, Mrityunjay has unmuted his mic.
Sir, you are not audible.
Hello, hello,
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Mrityunjay
sir.
sir has put his
Yes,
mic
sir.
hello.
unmuted.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, no. What I speak is on. Are you able to listen what I speak?
Yes, sir.
Huh. Who told
Yes,
not
sir.
audible? Who among you told not audible?
Yes, sir. Now you
Sir,
are
that
audible.
time you are
And
not
some
audible, but I am audible. On that time, sir, you are not audible, so I said that.
Oh no, no. Just I left. No, because there's some words. Okay. So now to start. Wordsworth
Sir,
preface to.
one
Now,
member
now,
has unmuted his
now
mic.
you are listening.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello, sound is coming.
Sir, Mrityunjay has unmuted his mic. So please tell him to unmute his mic.
Okay, now to start. Mrityunjay, now to start. Workshop. Mute your mic. Hello. Sound is coming.
Sir, Mrityunjay sir's mic is unmute. Please tell him to mute up himself.
Or stop. Stop this voice.
Well,
Sir,
mic as well
Mrityunjay
as
is here.
video, both is on. Video and mic both are on.
Video mic off. Mrityunjay,
Sir, Mrityunjay,
stop your video.
sir, mic is
Because
also
sound.
unmuted.
Hello. Because sound is coming. So, Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads. Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads. The preface to lyrical ballads. The preface to lyrical ballads. Hello,
Sir, we
sound
are
is
not able
coming.
to
Please
hear
mute your mic.
properly. Sir, Mrityunjay has still muted his mic, unmuted his mic.
Hello.
Sir,
Mrityunjay.
don't mind. I think he's not known how to mute in video or sound.
Samuka Patrais.
Well,
Old
uh,
guy.
so you see, uh, the preface to lyrical ballads, the preface to lyrical ballads is an essay composed by William Wordsworth. So it's an essay by William Wordsworth. For the second edition, published in 1800, are the poetry collection lyrical ballads. Okay, so it is coming in the poetry lyrical ballads. Preface to lyrical ballads is an essay composed by William Wordsworth. Composed by Mrityunjay, please mute your mic. Okay,
Sir, please
so
tell the admin to remove him.
the preface to lyrical ballads came from Wordsworth's poem Lyrical Ballads and then greatly expanded in the third edition
Excuse me,
of
sir. Sir,
1802. Hello?
ballads means क्या?
Ballad means that's a narrative poem. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Ballad.
Sir,
Sir.
first you said that William Wordsworth, that is a essay. And in the second
Now the
part, you're saying that that is a poem.
preface to lyrical ballad. But lyrical
Yes.
ballad itself is a poem. So that preface came from this poem, lyrical ballad. The preface to lyrical ballad. Preface means
Essay.
it's an essay.
Okay.
And that essay has come from the poetry collection of Wordsworth collection of poetry, lyrical ballads. Means what Wordsworth has just given a new shape in form of the preface to lyrical ballads. Okay. Uh, so it has uh, it has come to be seen as de facto manifesto of the romantic movement. Now just I'm telling what is de facto. D-E-F-A-C-T-O. D-E-F-A-C-T-O. De facto means, in fact, whether by right or not, existing or holding a specified position, in fact, but not necessarily by legal right. De facto, de facto means whether by right or In fact, whether by right or not, existing or holding a specified position, in fact, but not necessarily by legal right. Okay. So de facto came to be seen as de facto manifesto. Manifesto means a public declaration of a policy and aims. Policy statement. Manifesto means that a public declaration of a policy and aims. A public declaration of a policy and aims. Policy
Sir,
statement.
excuse me, sir. Sir, you are saying that de facto means that is whether it is right or wrong, it is illegal. It may
Huh.
be illegal, but manifesto is a declaration, publicly declaration, and it's legal.
Statement, public statement, platform or public statement. Okay, public declaration of a policy. Okay, one some rules and regulations. The four guidelines of the manifesto include. Okay, you see. So, what did Wadsworth tell in that manifesto means public declaration or policy statement. So, it has four guidelines. The preface to lyrical ballads has come from Wordsworth's collection of poetry, lyrical ballads. Okay, it came in the year 1802. It has come to be seen as a de facto manifesto of the Romantic movement. So, what are the four guidelines of Romantic manifesto? So now I'm just discussing with you the four guidelines of the manifesto. Means that public declaration or policy statement. Public declaration of a policy and aims. Manifesto means public declaration of a policy and aims. Listen, one first,
The four
attention
guidelines of
please.
what? The four
Policy and
guidelines of what?
aims. Now listen, the first policy statement is ordinary life is the best subject for poetry. Do you get me? Ordinary life, the first policy or first aim. What the sound is coming?
Sir, his mic is still unmuted.
Ringing. Okay. That so. Okay, you see. So a public declaration of policy and aims. So the first policy and aim of Wordsworth. That is the meaning of manifesto. Ordinary life is the best subject for poetry. Ordinary life. Not okay, complex life. Simple life.
Excuse me, sir. Ordinary life means life in
Simple
the
life.
country areas,
Yes, yes.
country people.
Yes. Simple life. Very simple life. Okay, ordinary life is the not aristocratic life. Nowadays, people living in town. Okay, are doing. Okay. Ordinary life is the best subject for poetry. What sound is coming? I should start boss sound everything.
Sir, Mrityunjay sir's mic is still unmute and it is making noise.
मृत्युंजय माइक बंद करो. म्यूट योरसेल्फ. मृत्युंजय माइक बंद करो. ओडिया बुझुछ यदि बंद करो. म्यूट योरसेल्फ. म्यूट योरसेल्फ.
Sir, Arthur ma'am can remove her.
Okay. So, ordinary life is the best subject for poetry. Wordsworth uses common man's language. Remember, that is the first policy. That is the first public policy or public statement. Ordinary life is the best subject for poetry. So, if ordinary life is the best subject for poetry, then Wordsworth chose common man's language. Common man's language. Common man's language. Then two, everyday language is the best suited for poetry. Everyday language, day-to-day language, everyday language. That's what we speak in our day-to-day life. You might have, you might be understanding. The language that we speak in our day-to-day conversation while staying at home or going for marketing or at anywhere. That is called ordinary language, unofficial language. Everyday language is best suited for poetry. Then three, policy number three, that is the manifesto.
Sir,
Expressions.
sir, excuse me, sir. The first one you said ordinary life is the best subject for poetry.
Uh,
And the
Second,
second one is so
everyday language. Everyday language is
yes,
best
what were
suited.
these?
Everyday means that every time you have to speak just at the time of speaking, do whenever we are at home or we are at market or we are at anywhere, just a friendly talk. Okay, uh, that is called everyday language is the best suited for poetry. Then third, expressions of feeling. Expressions of feeling is more important than plot or action. Expressions of feeling is more important than plot or feeling. Feeling means you must feel, you must express your feelings. What you think, what you try to speak, you have to express it in your feelings. Expression of feelings is more important than plot or action. Then four, last one, last aim or policy, that policy statement. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotions that we speak. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings collected in tranquility. Tranquility means in a certain place is a calm and quiet place. Whenever a poet is
Sir,
sitting,
overflow of, sir. Sir, please repeat. Overflow of.
poetry,
Sir, again repeat
poet,
the.
poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotions. Whenever you become emotional, either sitting uh, inside the jungle or sitting beside the lake or beside the sea or beside that innumerable birds, those are just taking their food. So you just derive an emotion, you get an emotion. Okay, and out of that you start writing. So poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotion that takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. William Wordsworth told. According to William Wordsworth, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings collected in tranquility. Tranquility means calm and quiet place. Unless you choose calm and quiet place, you cannot express your feelings.
Mrityunjay, please unmute your mic.
मृत्युंजय सर म्यूट करंतु
Sir, sir, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotion that takes in the
That takes
origin.
its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. Tranquility means in a calm and quiet place, peaceful place, peaceful place. Okay, it should be situated far from the crowded place. Hostel and bustle of a city life. Okay, that is far from crowded place, busy place, far from busy place. Okay, then you can think of writing poetry. You can collect emotions from the nature. Then you can express your feelings and put forth it in form of writing poetry. So these are the four that policy statement or public declaration of policy and aims that Wordsworth gave it in its manifesto. First, Wordsworth prefers to lyrical ballads. Just wait 2 to 3 minutes. Just wait 2 to 3 minutes.
Prafula, unmute your mic. Prafula, unmute yourself.
Professor, please mute up yourself.
प्लीज डोंट माइंड माने मो कहया था कि हम ओडिया पिला के अछंती कि ग्रुप रे जो क्लास वर्तमान होची ओडिया पिला के अछंती कि
आज्ञा अच्छु
आगे आगे
तो हमरो ओडिया पिला किछि ग्रुप खुला है कि माने नोट फोटो पठेया पई कि क्लास केतळे कमते कोन करिया पई किछि खुला
ସେମିତି
है
କିଛି
ग्रुप
ନାହିଁ ସେମିତି କିଛି
ନାଇଁ
ନାହିଁ
ନାଇଁ
ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ
କେବଳ
ସମାନ।
ସାରଙ୍କର ଗୋଟିଏ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଅଛି ସେଇ
କହିବା କଥା
ଗ୍ରୁପରେ
ହଉଛି କଣ
ସମସ୍ତେ ଜଏନ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଅଛନ୍ତି।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ କହିବା
ନା
କଥା
ନା
ହଉଛି ମତେ
Yes, sir.
ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଆଡ କରନ୍ତୁ। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଆଉ ମତେ ଟିକେ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଆଡ କରନ୍ତୁ।
ନା ନା ମୁଁ ତ ଗ୍ରୁପ ରେ ନିଜେ ହିଁ ଆଡ ନାହିଁ ମୁଁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପଚାରିଲି କି ଆଡ ଅଛ କି ମୁଁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପଚାରିଲି।
କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି କିଏ ଥିବେ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି କିନ୍ତୁ ଯଦିଓ ଆଡ ନଥାନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଡ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ନୂଆ ଖୋଲନ୍ତୁ ଗ୍ରୁପ। କାହିଁକିନା ଆଡ କଲେ ଜାଣି ହେଇଯିବ କଣ ମାନେ କେବେ ଏକ୍ଜାମ କଣ ସବୁ ଇନଫରମେସନ ଜାଣି ହେଇଯିବ ନା ତେଣୁ ଆଡ
ଯିଏ
କରନ୍ତୁ।
ଯିଏ ଗ୍ରୁପ କ୍ରିଏଟ କରିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଟିକେ ମେସେଜ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ମେସେଜରେ ଲିଙ୍କ पठेदेबे ଆପଣ ଆଡ ହେଇଯିବେ।
और अदरवाइज आप ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि आप अपना मोबाइल नंबर यहाँ पे अपने नाम के साथ दे दीजिए, जो ग्रुप में एडमिन होंगे वो डेफिनेटली आपको ऐड कर देंगे।
ओके ओके ठीक है।
ମୁଁ ଉପରେ ପଡୁଛି।
Prafula, please mute your mic.
Hello. So now pass on to a discussion. Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads, because we are discussing about Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads, which has come from Wordsworth collection of poems, lyrical ballads. So Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads declares the dawn of English romantic movement. Dawn, you know, DAW and dawn. Dawn, dusk.
Sir,
Mon.
please repeat that line.
Wordsworth preface to lyrical ballads declares the dawn of English romantic movement. Means beginning. Dawn means means morning. Morning is the beginning of the day.
Early morning. Early
Early
morning.
morning. Yes, morning shines the day. Okay, because the sunrise comes and falls on the ground. So declares the dawn of English romantic movement. Wordsworth and Coleridge both, as to be discussed here in today's discussion, both. That's Wordsworth and Coleridge, and Byron also. Wordsworth and Coleridge, with the publication of the lyrical ballads, publication of the lyrical ballads break away with the neoclassical tendencies in poetry. As the reading people are not familiar,
So repeat, please.
Please repeat.
Wordsworth and Coleridge, with the publication of lyrical ballads, break away with the neoclassical tendency, primitive tendencies in poetry. As the reading people are not familiar with this new type of poetry. When people just started reading the poems written by Wordsworth and Coleridge, you know Wordsworth is a nature poet. As you know,
Sir,
Wordsworth
after
is a
lyrical
nature poet.
Bala,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, he has written almost all his poems, bringing that feelings from nature or qualities of nature. Okay, so
sir, please repeat,
uh,
sir, from lyrical Bala, sir.
as the reading means as people just started reading these poems, people are not familiar with this new type of poetry. Wordsworth puts forward a preface to this book. Preface means just prior to that, just before that. Whenever Wordsworth started writing many poems, both Wordsworth and Coleridge, okay, that produced a new form of poetry. Ordinary people couldn't understand that. So Wordsworth started writing preface. Preface means some lines um, about that in prosaic form. In prosaic form, not poetic form. In prosaic form, preface to this book. In this preface, in his preface, he tells about the form and contents of this new type of poetry. Form and contents. Understand? At first, he wrote poems when people couldn't understand the words, meanings, and expressions, everything, new type of poetry. Uh, okay. Uh, Both joined and wrote. So, again, Wordsworth wrote a preface. So, what is the preface? He tells us about the form and content. How shall we write poem? What should be the contents, characteristics? Means ordinary life is the best subject. Everyday language, expressions of feeling, okay, emotions, everything. He form and contents of this new type of poetry. Wordsworth in the
Excuse me, sir.
beginning,
Sir, excuse me.
hello.
Sir, are their opinions same? S.T. Coleridge and Wordsworth? Are their opinions same towards writing poetry?
Yes. Same. Later we'll discuss. Okay. They
Yes.
do not vary so far as writing poem is concerned. Same. Wordsworth, because it's a joint venture. It's a joint venture. So both joined and wrote. So Wordsworth in the beginning states the necessity of bringing about. Wordsworth in the beginning states the necessity of bringing about a revolution in the realm of poetry, means in the area of poetry, a realm of poetry, as the Augustan poetry has become popular. He painfully notices that the 18th century poets who Wordsworth means 18th century other poets have separated poetry from the grasp of common people.
Sir,
Okay,
Wordsworth in the beginning states the necessity of the realm of poetry as the
uh, as the Augustan poetry. Augustan poetry means poetry deprived of the feelings of the common people. Feelings, okay,
yes, sir.
and common people or intensity of common people. So that he painfully notices Wordsworth whenever went through
Sir, I have a question, sir.
what
Sir, Augustan period is the period of reasoning as well, or is it different from that?
just later I'm discussing. Okay, just saying after that. Okay, Western poetry. Mm, okay, answering your question. Just whenever Wordsworth went through that, through all these poems, he became very sad because he saw that these poets haven't described the feelings and zeal and jest uh, or interest of the common people. Okay, so he painfully notices that the 18th century poets have separated poetry, means completely written a new form of poetry from the grasp of common people. Means grasp of common people means it was completely unable on the part of the common people to go through or to understand. So he resolves, when decided, resolved or resolves to literate this poetry, to liberate this poet, not literate, liberate means to give a new freedom, to liberate this poetry from the shackles of so-called classical doctrines. He, in collaboration with his friend Coleridge, whenever Wordsworth knew or saw or became very sad, uh, going through that, going through the lines of that poem, he felt that it is not suitable for the ordinary people because we do not have got any feelings or interest. Okay, everyday language of the common man, everyday language, we do not find all these characteristics or features in all the poems written by the so-called poets of that era. So what did happen?
Sir,
Wordsworth.
is at that period that that means that those doctoral classical
Huh, huh.
poets, they wrote such type of poem that is not very similar to our real life. Is that
Yes,
is
yes, yes, yes,
okay?
yes, 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 right, right. Because other poets were there in that era, in that age also, romantic age, other poets are there. But some important poets are Wordsworth, Coleridge, Byron, Shelley, Keats, understand? So besides them, some other poets are there. So Wordsworth came to know uh, from these other poets. Whenever went through or read out the poems of others, so he knew all these pitfalls or odds and oddities. Okay, so that is so he resolves to liberate this poetry from the shackles of the so-called classical doctrines. He, in collaboration with his friend Coleridge, means joined with his friend Coleridge, began to write poems for the people of all classes. Do you get me? Before that,
So he
people of
wanted to
all
resolve
the
after that.
all classes, people of all classes. Okay, means that literate as well as illiterate. Illiterate means that doesn't mean suppose one is not highly educated. If one is not highly educated, so one cannot understand. One cannot express his interest, or one can just buy and read it because he is or she is not able to understand. Simply, all will become
Sir,
disinterested. So,
he collaborate with the scholars to make such poetry that is suitable for all classes.
yes, yes,
All
yes.
classes. Huh?
So
Okay.
that it will be readable for others, for all. It will be readable for all, all. All will like it, all will accept it, all will admit it, all will praise the writing uh, or the writings of both Wordsworth and Coleridge. So that is began to write poems for the people of all classes. Collaboration with friend Coleridge, joined his hands or extended his hands with his friend Coleridge, and made up their mind to write another new type of a poem which will be suitable for all. What do you mean to say? So it's for the suitability of all, people belonging to different types of class, creed, and religion. Even if one is not highly educated, one can understand, one can learn something. Even if one is high, okay, completed a lot of degrees and diplomas, everything, also one can get and understand. Okay, means one can go through and understand, means learn, get a lot from it. So, Wordsworth thought that the language of these poets is highly artificial and sophisticated. Do you get me? Wordsworth, after just digesting or grasping the poems of the so-called poets of this era, he thought that the lines or the languages, everything that knocking the brain is artificial, highly artificial and sophisticated. Means people belonging to all the classes cannot uh, understand all, cannot understand all the lines belonging to all the classes. So some will be deprived of understanding. Okay, some will be some are getting benefited. So taking that into consideration, uh, okay, so highly artificial and sophisticated. As all these poems were highly artificial and sophisticated, that is why he suggests or suggested a new language for romantic poetry. Who? Wordsworth, in collaboration with his friend Coleridge. He couldn't, okay, so he rejected the lines written by the Augustan poetry and just give a new form to write, new form uh, in poetry, or give a new shape to poetry, coming in contact with his friend or in collaboration with his friend Coleridge. Means it's a new type of poetry, new breed of poetry which will be suitable for all the people, even the starting from top to bottom, lower to higher. Lower to higher in the sense, not that money or power, that
Everybody,
knowledge.
sir, everybody.
Yes,
Yes.
knowledge. Even if one is not highly educated, can learn and digest. If one is highly educated, also can be benefited, can gain. Okay, irrespective of one and all. So that is why he suggested a new language for romantic poetry. Wordsworth and Coleridge both. So it's a joint venture to make poetry. So what did he give in that poem? Okay, what did they express in that poem? And it became very popular.
Day-to-day
Okay.
life events.
One, first, to make poetry, lifelike, as if alive, as if poetry is alive. To make poetry lifelike, he wants to use the language of a common people. As the common people express their, as the common people express their feeling, uh, feelings, that's interest. Feelings means inward feelings, interest, zeal and jest, everything. So he will, so he will purify the language of rustic people until it is ready for use. Until it is,
Sir,
means the language was
purifying the language
completely,
for.
Please repeat. So he
means
purified
okay,
the
okay.
language.
Uh, until it is ready for use, means the language was not hypocritical. It is, the language wasn't
Sir, excuse
hypocritical.
me, sir.
Rather, Rather, it was a
Hello,
genuine language. Okay.
sir. Sir, after repeat, sir, he will purify the language for the after that.
Purify the language, purify the language of a rustic people. Okay, the rustic mean ordinary people. Okay, just give a new shape. Uh, Purify the language of a rustic people until it is ready for use. Unless until people just express their interest to accept. So WhatsApp couldn't use all these languages. That could be acceptable. Okay. So people admitted it, people, and so means it's free from hypocritical languages. It's not hypocritical, rather genuine and sincere. Genuine and sincere. So that all will be able to understand. Then Wordsworth sees his lyrical ballads as innovative. Then Wordsworth sees his lyrical ballads as innovative and connected to a high level of truth and significance, if not a high level of life and society.
Sir, repeat that again, please.
Wordsworth sees his lyrical ballads, okay, uh, means collection of some poems. Lyrical ballads means collection of some poems. Lyrical ballads uh, as innovative, as innovative as innovative um, and connected to a high level of truth and significance, if not a high level of life and society. In English literature, what you mean that your question was about Augustan poetry? Okay, Wordsworth didn't like the writings of the Augustan poetry. So in English literature, Augustan poetry is a branch of Augustan literature and refers to the poetry of the 18th century. So it refers to the poetry of 18th century. 18th century. Because you see, Romanticism started at the end of 18th century and continued till the middle of the 19th century, as earlier I told. Yes or no?
Yes,
It,
sir.
Yes, sir.
yes, it started.
Yes, sir.
It started at the end of 18th century and continued till the beginning of
Mid of
19th
mid
century.
of 9.
19th century. Yes, mid of 19th century.
Middle of 19.
Yes. Mid of 19th century. Sure, that is Augustan poetry means in English literature, Augustan poetry is a branch of Augustan literature and refers to the poetry of the 18th century, specifically the first half of the century, specifically the first half of the century, 18th century. The term comes from most originally from a term that George had used for himself. George at that time perhaps was ruling the country. Okay, George, perhaps a king, I don't know. The term comes from most originally from a term that George had used for himself. He saw himself as an Augustus. Okay, that's why he entitled the poem Augustan Poetry. Understand? He saw himself as an Augustus, the most powerful. That's why entitled this poetry as Augustan Poetry. Augustan means of relating to or characteristics of the neoclassical period in England. Neoclassical. So now Collins by okay. So Wordsworth now you knew some important lines about Wordsworth prefers to lyrical ballads. So now let's start. That is Collins Biographia Literaria. Coleridge Biographia, because here we have two poets. We have to discuss the writings of the two poets. Wordsworth already done now. So now starting with two, that is Coleridge, and his production is Biographia Literaria. Just discussing with you. Coleridge Biographia Literaria. Coleridge himself described Biographia Literaria as an immethodical miscellany. Miscellany means a group or collection of different items or mixture. Miscellany means a group or collection of miscellany, MISCLLA, miscellany means a group or collection of different items or mixture. Coleridge himself described Biographia Literaria as an immethodical, means not based on methods, not based on proper methods, immethodical miscellany of life and opinion. In 1906, because it continued at the mid of the 19th century, so in 1906, the poet Arthur Simon, Arthur Arthur Simon called the work the greatest book of criticism in English.
Sir, can you
And
please repeat again?
in 1906, in
No, sir,
1900,
he
in
described Biographia Literaria as what?
as an immethodical miscellany, immethodical, IMMETHODICAL, miscellany, MISCELLANY. Miscellany means collection of different items, a group or collection of different items or mixture. Mixture, you see how different ingredients are there, very tasty because mixed different types of items or ingredients are there, means we find, so that is called it's very tasty, okay, edible. So that is Biographia Literaria as an immethodical miscellany of life and opinions, okay, not methodically, means not systematically. Here that writings haven't done systematically or methodically, that is miscellany, means mixture or collection of different items. Understand? So in 1906, poet Arthur Simon called the work the greatest book of criticism. Who? Coleridge Biographia Literaria. Who called? Who called that Coleridge Biographia Literaria happens to be the greatest work, Arthur Simon, perhaps belonging to that era, that age. Arthur Simon called the work the greatest book of criticism in English and one of the most annoying books in any language. Who? What? Biographia Literaria. The greatest book of criticism in English and also the most annoying. Annoying means that
Irritating.
hello?
Irritating.
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 Yes, right. Irritating or vexing. Okay, means doesn't pacify or lessen the pains and pleasures. Okay, sorrows and sufferings. So that is the greatest book of criticism and one of the most annoying books in any language. Biographia Literaria was the most important work of literary criticism of the English Romantic period. But annoying. But annoying. Means people do not derive any pleasure out of that. After the completion of the lines of that, people do not derive any pleasure. Well, so Biographia Literaria was the most important work of literary criticism of the English Romantic period. Of the English Romantic period, combining philosophy and literary criticism.
Excuse me,
You
sir.
may
But
hello.
why Arthur Simon told that this book is very annoying because of the
Because
miscellaneous
mixture,
ideas?
because you see, that's miscellany, methodical miscellany. Because everything has been done unsystematically, not systematically, not
Yes, sir.
methodically. Okay, one after another, just one after another, systematically. If everything becomes presented systematically, okay,
Yes, sir.
orderly, systematically, then you may express your interest. You may take interest, or you may show your keen interest to read it and also listen it.
Yes, sir.
If, okay, if it becomes boring, uninteresting, monotonous, and unnecessary, irrelevant, important lines are there which are not required. So that is called immethodical. Okay, mixture of both. That is why it's annoying. Well, so but the most important work, the greatest book of criticism in English. Well, so that is Biographia Literaria was the most important work of literary criticism of the English Romantic period, combining philosophy and literary criticism in a new way, and it was lastingly influential. So toward the end of that era, also uh, it was praised and accepted by all. Okay.
Sir, you said that this book is like a collage biography literaria. It's a combination
Hmm.
of philosophy
Yes, philosophy and literary criticism, both.
and the literary criticism.
Both,
Sir,
both.
what's
Blending
of
of both.
book?
Blending of both philosophy and literary criticism. Biographia Literaria opens with the recollection of Coleridge's education and Crust Hospital Grammar School. I mean, it starts the opening lines, the beginning lines or the opening lines of Biographia Literaria uh, is starts with the collection of Coleridge's education. I mean, how did he just that acknowledge name in educational institutions? Uh, Recollection of Coleridge's education at Christ's Hospital Grammar School and the influence of contemporary writers. Contemporary means persons living at the same time. Suppose now you are here, your other friends are also joining and attending, listening. So they are your contemporaries. Okay, persons belonging to the same age. So that Crust Hospital Grammar School and the influence of contemporary writers on developing minds. Coleridge. Okay, so start now.
हेलो सर.
Mm. Hello.
नहीं
Okay.
सर, आपका वॉइस नहीं आई, मैंने पूछा.
Voice. Now I'm speaking with you. Uh, so that is Biographia Literaria. Okay, so the opening lines of Biographia Literaria we come across or we see uh, Coleridge's education at Christ Hospital Grammar School and the influence of contemporary writers on developing minds. Contemporary writers. Coleridge divided the concept of imagination into primary and secondary.
Christ Hospital Grammar School. After that, what you said?
Grammar school. I mean, the opening lines of Biographia Literaria starts with
Yes, sir,
Coleridge's
that is right.
education. Simply, we understand Coleridge's education. Okay. So, the works of some contemporary writers. Works of some contemporary writers, those who belong to that age. Coleridge divided the concept of imagination into primary and secondary. By primary imagination, he refers to our basic mental capacity. By primary imagination, by primary imagination, he refers to our basic mental capacity to see and organize stimuli from the world around us. Means stimulants or stimuli from the world around us. That is primary capacity, world around us. The difference between imagination and fancy, according to Coleridge, the difference
Sir, basic
between
mental. After that, sir. Hello, sir.
SS, the
Sir, after
different
basic mental.
basic mental mental capacity. The difference between imagination and fancy, the difference between imagination and fancy, according to Coleridge, is one of the kind rather than degree. During the 17th century, the
Sir,
term,
Sir, please repeat.
please repeat the last line. The difference between imagination and fancy is?
according to Coleridge, the difference between imagination and fancy, according to Coleridge, is one of the kind rather than degree. It's a phrase, one of the kind rather than degree. During the 17th century, the term imagination and fancy had almost been used in a synonymous sense. The 18th century accorded a superior sense first to one term and then to the other. But finally, by the end of the century, means
Sir,
19th
fancy
century,
and sir. Sir,
fancy,
fancy and.
fancy, fancy and imagination and fancy had almost been used in a synonymous sense, meaning the same, similar type, synonymous. Synonym means same. Okay, synonymous sense. The 18th century accorded a superior sense first to one term and then to the other. But finally, by the end of the century, imagination came to be firmly established as the superior term. So now, the difference between imagination and fancy. So at the end of that century, 19th century, imagination came to be strongly established as the superior term. As the superior term.
So can you please explain that whole thing you said, like 17th century, the term imagination and fancy had almost used in synonymous sense. After that, what you said, can you
You
please
see, in those times, so fancy was given the topmost priority, but towards the end of the 19th century, okay, so imagination reigned the supreme or came to the limelight and became superior. In Biographia Literaria, Coleridge comments that the difference between fancy and imagination is the same as the difference between a mechanical mixture and a chemical mixture. In Biographia Literaria, Coleridge comments Coleridge comments that the difference between fancy and imagination is the same as the difference between a mechanical mixture and a chemical mixture. Biographia Literaria is a work on literary aesthetic or literary theory. Oh, many things are there. So leave it now. Pass on to that P.P. Shelley's defense on poetry. Okay, P.P. Shelley as a romantic poet or a defense of poetry. Okay, defense of poetry.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir,
Hello.
sir, sir, will you please explain again what you shared mechanical and chemical mixture? That point I didn't get it.
Mechanical, you see, mechanical mixture means between fancy and imagination is the same as the difference between mechanical mixture and a chemical mixture. Uh, okay, mechanical mixture means what do you mean by mechanical mixture? Me mechanical
Yeah,
mixture means
mechanical mixture means the solid atoms that we can mix and make a new thing, but in chemical reaction it can explode.
so mechanical mixture and chemical mixture. I am giving you a clear cut idea about what a mechanical and chemical. Okay. So now let's start. P.B. Shelley as a romantic poet. Romantic poet, or the last one to be discussed. P.B. Shelley as a romantic poet means the defense of poetry. Defense, you know, that is the act of defending from or resisting attack. Okay, the act of defending is called defense. So a defense that's now discussing P.B. Shelley as a romantic poet or a defense of poetry. Okay, that is in the syllabus. A defense of poetry is an unfinished essay by P.B. Shelley. It is an unfinished essay by P.B. Shelley written in February and March of 1821. Written in February and March of 1821, that the poet put aside, that the poet put aside.
So February and March of
Hello,
February and March
March
of 1800.
21, that the poet put aside and never completed, mean kept it or postponed. Put aside mean postponed and
Sir,
never
can you
completed.
please repeat that again? It is an unfinished essay written in February and March.
March 1821. Okay,
Yes, sir.
until the end also, it could not be completed. It could not be completed. So it could not be completed. Okay, so that is put aside means ignored or that put aside, lay by or ignored. Means perhaps the writer didn't like it or ignored it or couldn't be able to complete it. That is put aside. Okay.
Means
Uh,
not much interested.
so that is the poet puts aside and never completed. The text was published posthumously. Posthumously means after the death of the writer. Who is the writer? Shelley. You know, posthumous writer. In the book uh, published after the death of the writer, posthumous child. The child came out after the death of his father. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is so the text was published posthumously in 1840. Okay. Writing started in 1821 and could not be completed. The poet put aside and never completed, but it came to limelight. It was published in 1840 in essays from abroad. In essays, letters from abroad. Shelley distinguishes between P.B. Shelley, P.B. Shelley
Sir, it
uh,
published in which year?
in 1840. In 1840, in essays,
Thank you.
letters from abroad. Okay. Shelley distinguishes between measured and unmeasured language. Shelley distinguishes between measured and unmeasured language. So, what is measured? The former being poetry means measured. Measured means poetry. The former being poetry, which uses meter. That is, you measure out of syllabus per line. And the latter being prose. What unmeasured? Measured means poetry.
Sir, measure means poetry, then unmeasured. What was that?
Unmeasured means prose.
Prose.
Unmeasured means prose.
Okay, PB Shelley distinguishes between measured and
No,
non-measured.
just, no, just phone is coming. Just wait 2 to 3 minutes. I'm not holding the phone. Yeah. Sure, that is the measured and unmeasured. The former being poetry, which was that is measured, which the former is poetry. You measure out of syllables per line, and the latter being prose. Poetry is superior to prose, even though both use language, because poetry also taps into the possibilities of sound. The language of poets has never affected a certain uniform and harmonious recurrence of sound, without which it were non-poetry. Shelley also makes a distinction between storytelling. Shelley, P.B. Shelley also makes a distinction between storytelling and indeed history and poetry, arguing a particular story of a particular facts is as a mirror which obscures and distorts that which should be beautiful. Poetry is a mirror which makes beautiful that which is distorted. Poetry thus reflects
Uh,
the world.
sir, just 1 second. Sally also make distinguish between storytelling and history and poetry, arguing that.
Which obscures and distorts, destroys or mars. Distorts means that is twisted out of shape in a quite problematic use, which uh, distort distorts that which should be beautiful. Poetry is a mirror which makes beautiful that which is distorted. Poetry thus reflects the world like a mirror, but does so in a way that renders the distorted image. I leave it. Indeed, uh, okay. So now to start that Shelley's defense of poetry, that is in the syllabus. Shelley's defense of poetry. Shelley attempts to prove that poets are philosophers, that they are the creation. Shelley Shelley attempts to prove that poets are philosophers, means a defense of poetry. In his A defense of poetry, Shelley attempts to prove that poets are philosophers, that they are the creators and protectors of a moral and civil laws, and that if it were not for poets, Shelley speaks, Shelley argues,
Sir, moral and civil.
civil laws, civil, CIVIL, moral and civil laws, and that if it were not for poets, scientists could not have developed either their theories as their inventions. Do you get me understand? Here just Shelley,
Sir,
uh,
scientists could not please repeat, sir.
Shelley just tops the poets or keeps the position of the poets at the top. Okay, means that if it were not for poets, scientists could not have developed either their theories or their inventions. So introduced poets introduce law and maintain morality. Poets introduce and maintain morality. A defense of poetry, a defense of poetry is an unfinished essay, as I told you earlier, because he started writing in 1801 and couldn't complete. So it was published
Sir,
posthumously.
is a finished.
A defense of poetry and is an unfinished essay. As earlier I told you, unfinished essay published in 1840 but unfinished, not completed. A defense of poetry is an unfinished essay by P.B. Shelley, written in February and March of 1821, that the poet put aside and never completed. The text was published posthumously in 1840 in Essays. In its final sentence, its its final sentence expresses Shelley's famous proposition that poets are unacknowledged legislators of the world. Legislators, you know, a person who makes law, a member of the legislative body. Legislators means a person who makes law, or that is the law or member of the legislative body. So poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. Unacknowledged means existing or having taken place but not accepted, recognized or admitted to. Okay. Of a person or their work. Unacknowledged means of a person or their work. Suppose you have written something. You have produced something as a person, and also your work, your writing. Deserving praise. Okay, your writing deserves praise, but not receiving praise or recognition. Okay, he not receiving praise or recognition. It's deserving, but not receiving praise or recognition. That is called acknowledged legislators of the world. Shelley wrote a defense of poetry. Shelley wrote a defense of poetry in response to the four ages of poetry. An essay by his friend Thomas Law Peacock.
Sir, please repeat again. Sully wrote a defense of
Shelley
poetry.
wrote a defense of a poetry in response to the four ages of poetry. Means wrote a different poetry in response to the four ages. In four ages of poetry, he just placed that poem a defense of poetry. An essay by his friend Thomas Law Peacock. Okay, one of his friends, in four ages of poetry, Peacock means Thomas Law Peacock, his friend, Shelley's friend. In four ages of poetry, uh, Peacock satirically Peacock satirically argues that poetry is no longer needed in the midst of the great technological and scientific advancements of the industrial age. Okay, means as we are on the verge of scientific and industrial age, so we should not believe in poetry, because poetry is the spontaneous overflow powerful feelings. Okay, with the language of the
Sir,
ordinary
no long
people,
needed in the.
uh, needed in the advanced scientific advancement of the industrial age. Okay, he adds that poetry was once useful for awakening the intellect of society. Poetry was once useful. Poetry was once useful for awakening. Awakening means an act of waking from sleep or coming into existence or awareness. His awakening desire. His awakening desire means coming into existence or awareness. So, once upon a time, he adds that poetry was for once useful for awakening the intellect of a society. But now humanity has advanced beyond it. Nowadays, what we witness that the rapid industrialization and scientific advancements, it's not for the poetry.
Humanity have
So credit doesn't go for poetry, rather the scientists. So once useful for awakening the intellect of society, but now humanity has advanced beyond it. You see, nowadays, if you don't think of poetry, if you do not take the help of poetry, can't you do any work? You have to do all your works. Even if without the help of poetry, you are soaring high. Okay.
Sir, the rapid industrialization have.
So, but now humanity has advanced beyond it. Without poetry, also humanity is advancing. Peacock also said the poets of his era were derivative. Of his era were derivative. Derivative means imitative, unoriginal. Derivative means imitative, not original, means unoriginal. Peacock, because you see, Peacock told if nowadays we do not uh, take the help of poetry, if we do not read poetry, we can do everything. We can accomplish all our difficult accomplishments without taking the help of poetry also. So why should we need poetry? Why should we read poetry? Poetry has no place in giving a chance to the development of scientific advancement and of the industrial age. So we should ban, poets should be banned, as per his saying. So that Peacock also said the poets of his era, means age, were derivative means imitative or that is unoriginal,
Not original.
which showed the downfall of poetry. Okay. So now what Shelley told, how Shelley challenged Peacock's suggestion. Responding to Peacock's critics means that is analysis, evaluation. Responding to Peacock's critics means analysis or evaluation or theory. A defense of poetry. Responding to Peacock's critics means theory or analysis. In a defense of poetry, Shelley argues that poetry is imperative. Poetry is imperative.
Sir, please repeat.
Poetry is imperative and imperative to society, means very needful to society. Poetry is imperative to society. He does this by first differentiating between reason and imagination, and then he claims that reason serves imagination. Reason is to imagination, means reason comes first, then comes imagination. Reason is
Does
to
this sound?
imagination. Reason is to imagination as the instrument is to the agent, as the body to the spirit, as the shadow to the substance. Understand? Shelley told, reason is to imagination as the instrument to the agent, as the body to the spirit, as the shadow to the substance. Okay. Okay, so many lines are there. As far as possible, we could be able to complete that are meant to be completed. That romanticism, its features, characteristics, and all the main points, and also some important points that Shelley by and Wordsworth, Coleridge, that is given a syllabus, 3 poems. Okay, the works of the 3 poets are to be discussed.
Excuse me, sir.
Wordsworth, P.B. Shelley, and Coleridge. Okay,
Sir,
so
excuse me, sir. Sir,
hello.
yes, sir. Sir, Wordsworth, Coleridge, and P.B. Shelley both are praising poetry
Yes,
comparison to others, right?
yes.
Okay, sir.
So with this, I conclude today's presentation. Again, two more to start. That 4. Okay, two more to start. That's the next. So thank you. Goodbye to you.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
sir, listen, sir, please listen.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
ଓଡ଼ିଆ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ।
Hello.
ହଁ ହଁ
ହଁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
ହଁ ଆଜ୍ଞା, ଏ ଯୋଉ ଆମର ଭଦ୍ରକ ଅଟୋନମସ୍ କଲେଜରେ ଏକ୍ଜାମ ଦେବା କି ପିଲା ଅଛନ୍ତି କି?
Hello.
ମୁଁ
ଏଫଏମ୍
କହିଲି
ରେ
କି
ଏଫଏମ୍ ରେ ଅଛି ଏଫଏମ୍ ଅଟୋନମସ୍।
Hello. Speak.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ନମସ୍କାର।
Hello. Speak.
Sir, can I speak in ଓଡ଼ିଆ?
Yes. Speak. Go.
Sir, ଆମର ସାର୍ ଯୋଉ କଣ କହୁଥିଲି କି କ୍ଲାସ୍ ସାର୍ କେବେଠୁ ହେଲାଣି କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରାୟ ଟାଇମ୍ ଜଏନ୍ ହେଇପାରୁନି। ଜଏନ୍ ହେଲା ବେଳକୁ ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଟାଇମ୍ରେ ଜଏନ୍ ହେଉଛି ମୋତେ କେହି ଜଏନ୍ ହିଁ
ହଁ
କରୁନଥିଲେ। ଆଜି ସାର୍ ଆପଣ ଜଏନ୍ କଲେ। ଆଉ ମୁଁ ସାର୍
ହଁ
କହିବା କଥା କଣ କି ସାର୍ ଆମର ନୋଟ୍ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ୍ ଛୁଆଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେମିତି କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ୍ ସାର୍ଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେମିତି କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ୍ ସେମିତି କିଛି ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଫ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଛି କି ଜଏନ୍ ହେବା ପାଇଁ?
ହଁ ଗ୍ରୁପ ତ ପିଲା ଗୋଟେ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଯାହା କ୍ରିଏଟେଡ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ ମୋର ପିଲା ଫ୍ରେଣ୍ଡସ୍ କ୍ରିଏଟେଡ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଛି ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଟା ହେଇଛି ଏବେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛି ଯେ ସେଇ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଟା କି ଆଉ ଅନ୍ୟ କିଛି ଗ୍ରୁପ୍
ହଁ
କରିଛନ୍ତି?
ସେଇ ଗ୍ରୁପ ସେଇ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଓକେ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହଁ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ମୁଁ କହିଲି କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ା ଅଟୋନମସ୍ କଲେଜରେ କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି କି?
ନା
ଷ୍ଟଡି
ନା ନା
ସେଣ୍ଟର ଅଛନ୍ତି କି?
ନା ଭାଇ ଏଠି କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି ବୋଧେ।
ସେ ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଟା ଭାଇ କେତେ ନମ୍ବର କହିଲେ ସେ ତାର ଆଡମିନ ର ନମ୍ବର ଟା ଟିକେ କହିଲେ ଭାଇ ସେ ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପ ରେ ଆପଣ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି?
ସାର୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କିଏ ମୁଁ?
ନୃସିଂହ ସାର୍।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ସାର୍ କଣ କହୁଥିଲି ସାର୍ ପ୍ଲିଜ୍ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ମାଇଣ୍ଡ ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ସାର୍ ମିଳିବ କି?
ଲେଖ 933777।
ହଁ ଲେଖୁଛି ଟିକେ ସାର୍।
ଆମ ଘରେ ବି ସେଇ କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ା।
କେନ୍ଦ୍ରା
ନାଇନ୍
କୋଉ
ଥ୍ରୀ
ଜାଗାରେ
ଥ୍ରୀ
ସାର୍?
ଆଁ?
933 7 933
9337794337
ସାର୍ କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ା କୋଉ ଜାଗା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଘର?
ଆମର କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ା ଭୂତୁମୁଣ୍ଡି ପାଖରେ।
ଭୂତୁମୁଣ୍ଡି
ମାର୍ସା
ଆଚ୍ଛା
ଘାଇ
ଆଚ୍ଛା।
ମାର୍ସା ଘାଇ ସେଇ ପାଖାପାଖି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ହଁ
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ହଁ ସେଇ ପାଖାପାଖି। Okay, again tomorrow to meet with some another new block, that is block 4.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Good night, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Good night,
Thank you
sir.
sir. Thank you.
good night, good night.
ଭଦ୍ରକ ଅଟୋନମସ ଭାଇ ଶୁଣିଲେ କି ଭଦ୍ରକ ଅଟୋନମସ ଭାଇ?
ହଁ ଆଜ୍ଞା ଅଛି କୁହ।
ସେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଟା ତା ନମ୍ବର ଟା କେମିତି ନହେଲେ ମୋ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ଟିକେ ଲେଖିକି ଟିକେ ଜଏନ କରେଇ ଦଉନ ମତେ ଟିକେ ଭାଇ। ମୋର
ଆପଣ
ଏଫଏମ ଅଟୋନମସ ରେ ଅଛି।
ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ
ଶୁଭୁ ନାହିଁ ଭାଇ। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଆପଣ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ଡାକନ୍ତୁ ମତେ।
7381
7381 ହଁ
743702। ଆପଣଙ୍କ ନମ୍ବର ଟା
ସାର୍
କହିଲେ
ମୁଁ
ଭାଇ। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ସେଭେନ ଫୋର୍ ଥ୍ରୀ
743702
ସେଭେନ
02
02।
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ନମ୍ବର ଟା କହିଲେ ଭାଇ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ନମ୍ବର ଟା କେତେ କହିଲେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ?
ମୁଁ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଏଇ କଲ୍ କରୁଛି ଆଉ ଟିକେ ପରେ ଭିଡିଓ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କଲ୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହଁ କୁହ
ମୁଁ କହୁଛି 7735
ସାର୍।
7735923844।
ତୁମ ନମ୍ବର?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମୋ ନମ୍ବର ସେ।
92
380
380
44 ଲାଷ୍ଟକୁ।
ଓକେ ନାଁ ଟା କଣ ନା?
ପ୍ରଫୁଲ୍ଲ କୁମାର ତ୍ରିପାଠୀ।
ମୋର କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ ମହାକୁଡ ଭାଇ ମୋର ଯୋଉ 7381743702 ମୋ ନାଁଟା କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ
ଭାଇ
ଲେଖିଦେବେ
ତମର
କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ
ଯୋଉ
ମହାକୁଡ।
ଅଛି
ଟିକେ ଆଉଥରେ କହିବେ ସାର୍ ଆଉଥରେ କହିବେ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ହଁ ଟିକେ କହିବେ ସାର୍ ଟିକେ।
କାହାର ମୋ ନମ୍ବର ନା?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ମୁଁ ତ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିନି ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଓହୋ ଜଏନ୍ କରିନଥିବେ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା।
ନା
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
ମୁଁ କରିନାହିଁ
ପାଇଁ
ମତେ
ଆପଣ
କରାହେଇନି
କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
ମୁଁ ବି ଜାଣିପାରୁନି ଆଉ।
ମୁଁ ଜଏନ୍ କରିନି ଆପଣ ଯଦି ଜଏନ୍ କରିଦେବେ ଭଲ ହୁଅନ୍ତା।
ହଁ ମୁଁ କରିଦେବି ଯେ ମୁଁ ଏଇ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଦଉଛି ହେଲା। ମୋ କହିବା କଥା କଣ କୁହନି ଆପଣ ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ ସବୁ ଲେଖି ସାରିଲେଣି?
ନା ମୁଁ ଲେଖିନି
ହଁ
ଜମା।
ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ କିଏ ଲେଖିଛି ସିଏ କେହି ଲେଖି ନଥିବେ ବିଶେଷ
ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚ ବା
ଯିଏ
ଲାଷ୍ଟ
ସାର୍
ଡେଟ।
ଲେଖିବା କଥା
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ଭାଇ ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚ ବା ଲାଷ୍ଟ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଡେଟ
ଭାଇ
ଲେଖିବେ କେତେବେଳେ? ହଁ।
ହଁ ମୁଁ କାଲିଠୁ ଲେଖା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବି କାଲିଠାରୁ।
ହଁ
ଭାଇ
ମାନେ
ମୁଁ କହୁଥିଲି
ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚ
କି ଆପଣ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ଦେବେ।
ହଉ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମୁଁ ଯାହା କହୁଛି ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଭାଇ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
MEG 1 2 3 5 ଚାରିଟା ଅଛି ତ ତୁମର?
ସେ
କେ
ଚାରିଟା
ମୋର
ରୁ
ଜାଣି ମୋର
କମ୍ପଲସରି ଗୋଟେ ଥିବ ଚାରିଟାରୁ କମ୍ପଲସରି ଟା ଗୋଟେ ଥିବ ଆପଣଙ୍କର। 5 ଆମର ଅଛି ଯେମିତି ମୋର ଅଛି 5 7 10 14 ମୋର କୋଡ ଗୁଡା ହେଲା 5 7 10 14 ଆପଣଙ୍କର କଣ
ମୋର
ରଖିଛନ୍ତି
ସେଇଆ ମୋର
କୁହନ୍ତୁ?
ସେଇଆ ସାର୍ ସେମ୍
ଏ ପ୍ରଫୁଲ୍ଲ
ସେମ୍ ଟୁ
ଭାଇଙ୍କର ବି
ସେମ୍
ସେୟା ଅଛି ନୁହେଁ କି?
ସେଇଆ ସେମ୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆପଣଙ୍କର କଣ ଅଛି ଭାଇ ଆପଣଙ୍କର କଣ ଅଛି?
ମୋର
ଭଦ୍ରକ ଭାଇ
1 2
ଭଦ୍ରକ
3
ଅଟୋନମସ
5 ଅଛି।
1 2
ଓ
3 5
ଡ୍ରାମାଟିକ ପୋଏଟ
ହୁଁ
ଡ୍ରାମାଟିକ
ଓହୋ
ପୋଏଟ।
ହଁ
5
ସେ
ଟା ହେଲା
ବ୍ରିଟିଶ
କମ୍ପଲସରି
ମୁଭି
ଆଉ
ଅଛି
ବାକି 1 2 3
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଦେଖିପାରିବେ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହଁ
କାହାର
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
5
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
7 10 14 କାହାର ଅଛି ପ୍ଲିଜ?
ମୋର ଅଛି ସାର୍।
ମୋର ଅଛି ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମୋର ବି ଅଛି ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହଁ ମୋର ଅଛି ପ୍ଲିଜ ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଟିକେ ତମ ନମ୍ବର ଟିକେ ଦେଲ ପ୍ଲିଜ।
77 ଲେଖନ୍ତୁ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ
ନାଇଁ
7735।
ଯିଏ କହିଲା ଯିଏ କହିଲେ କି 5 7 10 14 ତାଙ୍କର ନମ୍ବର
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଦରକାର
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ହଉଛି।
ମ୍ୟାଡାମ 5 7 14 10।
ହଁ
ୟେସ୍
5
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
7 10 14
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଲେଖନ୍ତୁ 7735
7735
9238
9238
44 ମ୍ୟାଡାମ।
44 one second please 7735923844
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡାମ।
जी मैम मोर भी
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
अच्छी
ନାଁ
गुड़े
କଣ
मोर भी
କହିଲେ ପ୍ରଫୁଲ୍ଲ?
ପ୍ରଫୁଲ୍ଲ ପ୍ରଫୁଲ୍ଲ କୁମାର।
ମୋର ବି ଅଛି।
ଓକେ ଓକେ
मोर
ସାର୍
କାଲି
ଆପଣ
ବିଷୟରେ ମତେ
ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ
କାହା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ମିଶି କଥା ହେଇଗଲେ ମୋର ଆଜି ଟିକେ ଭଏସ
ସାର୍
ଖୋଲିଲା ମୁଁ କଥା ହେଇ ପାରୁନଥିଲି ବିଲକୁଲ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ୟୁ।
मोर भी
ହଁ
मैम अच्छी
ସାର୍
से
ମୁଁ କଲ୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କରିପାରେ
ଭାଇ।
ଜଷ୍ଟ ଟୁ ଡାଉଟ କ୍ଲିୟର କରିବା ପାଇଁ ପ୍ଲିଜ ମାଇଣ୍ଡ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
କରନ୍ତୁନି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଓକେ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ ଏ ଯୋଉ
मोर भी
ଭାଇ
मैम
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ୟେସ୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଭାଇ
ହଁ ମୁଁ
କୁହ।
ଆପଣ ନମ୍ବର ଦେବି ଟିକେ।
637
6371
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା
0090
0090 ଆଜ୍ଞା
61
61 ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆପଣ ନାଁ କଣ କହିବେ?
ଡବ ମୋ ନାଁ ସଂଗ୍ରାମ।
ଆଉ ଥରେ 6371 009061।
ହଁ ସେଇଟା ସେଇଟା।
ଠିକ ଅଛି ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆପଣ
ଏ
ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ
ଗ୍ରୁପରେ
ନା
କେମିତି
ନା
ଜଏନ୍
ଆପଣ
କରିବା
ମାନେ ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ କେହି ଲେଖିନାହାନ୍ତି ଏଯାଏଁ?
ହଁ ପିଲା
ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ
ଲେଖିଥିବେ ପିଲା ମୁଁ
ନାଇଁ
ଜାଣିନି
ନାଇଁ
ଲେଖିଥିବି
ନାଇଁ
ମୁଁ କାଲିଠୁ ଲେଖା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବି।
ଯିଏ ଲେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଯିଏ ନ
ଓହୋ
ଲେଖି ପାରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେ ସବୁ ଆଜିକାଲି ଇଏ ହଉଛି ଏପଟ ସେପଟ ମିଳୁଛି ବଜାରରେ ସେ କିଣି ଆଣୁଛନ୍ତି କିଣି ଆଣିକି ଟିପି ଟୁପାକି ଦେଇଦେବେ ଆଉ କଣ।
ନା ଟିପି ଟିପା କଥା ନୁହେଁ ବଜାରରେ
ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ?
ମିଳୁଛି ମୁଁ ସେ କଥା କହୁନି କି ଆଉ ବଜାର
ହଁ
ଖାଲି ତ 100 ଟଙ୍କା ଦେଇକି ମିଳିବ କିନ୍ତୁ
ନିଜେ କୋଉଠି ଆଉ
ପେଜରେ ଟିକେ ଅଧିକ
ସମୟ
ଲେଖିବ ନା
ମିଳୁଛି
ଆଉ।
ନିଜକୁ ସମୟ ମିଳୁଛି ନା ପଢିବାକୁ ଟାଇମ ମିଳୁଛି ନା କଣ ଆମର ଇଏ ଅଛି ସେମିତି ତ ଟାଇମ ହଉନି ନା।
ଆପଣ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି?
ଚାକିରି ବାକିରି ଆମର ସବୁ ଇଏ ଚାକିରି ସବୁ ଛୋଟ ମୋଟ ଚାକିରି କରିଦବା ଆଉ କଣ କରିବା।
ଓହୋ ବିଜନେସ।
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଜିଲ୍ଲାରେ ଅଛି ତହସିଲ ବ୍ଲକ ଏଇଗୁଡାରେ କ୍ଲରିକାଲ ଚାକିରି ଆଉ।
ଓହୋ ସେଇଆ
ହଉ
କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଆଉ
ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଭାଇ
ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ
ଟିକେ ଜଏନ ଫଏନ କରେଇଦେବେ। ଟିକେ ଜଏନ କରିଦେବେ ଆପଣ
ହଉ
କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି ସଂଗ୍ରାମ ବାବୁ ଆପଣ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି ଟିଚରସିପ ନା କଣ?
ମୁଁ ତ ସେଇ ପିଜି
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କରୁଛି ନୋଟ ଫୋଟ କିଛି କରିନାହିଁ କାଲିଠୁ ଭାବୁଛି ଲେଖା ଲେଖି କରିମି ଆଉ।
ଆପଣ ପଢା ପିଲା ତାହେଲେ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ କରିପାରିବେ ଆମେ ତ ୱାର୍କିଂ ପର୍ସନ ନା ଆମେ ପାରୁନେ ଆମର ଟାଇମ ବି ହଉନି। ହଉ ଟିକେ ଭାଇ
ସାର୍
ଆମକୁ
ଯୋଉ
ଟାଇମ
ଭାଇ କଣ କହୁଥିଲି କି
ଜଏନ କରିଦେବେ ଟିକେ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କାହାର 1 2 3 5 କାହାର ଅଛି?
ଟିକେ ବ୍ରେକ୍ ନେଇକି ଟିକେ ନୋଟ ଫୋଟ ଲେଖା ଲେଖି କରତେ ପଡିବ।
ଏଇ ସଂଗ୍ରାମ
2
ସଂଗ୍ରାମ
3 5
ବାବୁଙ୍କର
ମୋର ଅଛି।
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଜିଲ୍ଲାରେ କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି କହିଲେ?
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଲେଖିଲେଣି କିଛି?
ମୁଁ ଅଛି ଏଠି କ୍ଷୀର ଯେ ମୋର 5 7 10 14 ଅଛି ମୋର 5 7 10 14 ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଜିଲ୍ଲା ମୋର ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଜିଲ୍ଲା। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ମୋର ବି ଅଛି 5 7 10 14।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଆପଣ
ଭାଇ
ଗ୍ରୁପରେ
ମୁଁ
ଅଛନ୍ତି ନା ନାହାନ୍ତି?
କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡା କଲେଜ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆପଣଙ୍କ
ଭାଇ
ନମ୍ବରଟା ଦେବେ।
7381
7381
743702
743702 ନାଁଟା କଣ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ କ୍ଷୀରଦ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ଭାଇ
ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ଭାଇ କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡା କଲେଜରେ କିଏ ଅଛ କି?
ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଆପଣ ନମ୍ବରଟା
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି।
ଦଉଛି
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା 801 ହଁ ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ଲେଖନ୍ତୁ ଲେଖନ୍ତୁ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
801
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା
839
839
2256
ଡବଲ
2256
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ଠିକ ଅଛି
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହଁ ଭାଇ କୁହ।
ମୁଁ କହିଲି କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡା ପିଲା କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି କି ଲାଇନରେ?
କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ା ପିଲା ତ କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି, କିନ୍ତୁ ତୁମକୁ ଯାହା ହଉ ତୁମ ସାର୍ ମିଳିଗଲେ, କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ାର ସାର୍ ଜଣେ ଅଛନ୍ତି।
ମାନେ ସିଏ କଣ ମାନେ କୋଉଠି ଅଛନ୍ତି, କୋଉଠି ଟିଚର ଲେକ୍ଚର ଅଛନ୍ତି କୋଉଠି?
ସିଏ ବା କହିଲେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ଗୋଟେ କହିଲେ କେନ୍ଦ୍ରାପଡ଼ାରେ।
ତାଙ୍କ ଘର ହଉଛି
ତାଙ୍କ
କୋଉଠି?
ଘରଟା
ତାଙ୍କ
କହିଲେ
ଘର ହଉଛି
ମାର୍ସଘାଇ, କିନ୍ତୁ
କୋଉଠି?
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରେ ବୋଧେ ସେମାନେ ରହୁଥିବେ। ସେଠି କୋଉ କଲେଜରେ ଚାକିରି କରିଥିବେ କି ରିଟାୟାର୍ଡ ହେଇସାରିବଣି, କି କୋଉ କଲେଜରେ ଥିବେ କି ରିଟାୟାର କରିସାରିବଣି ଆଉ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା।
ଭଦ୍ରକ ଅଟୋନମସ୍ କଲେଜ କିଏ ଅଛ କି ତୁମ ଭିତରୁ?
ଭଦ୍ରକ କଲେଜ ମୁଁ କେମିତି ଜାଣିବି? ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ଅଚିହ୍ନା କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି।
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ
ଓହୋ।
ଆପଣ ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜରେ ଅଛି ନା ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଏଫଏମ ରେ ଅଛି ଏକ୍ସାମିନେସନ ସେଣ୍ଟର ନା ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର?
ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜରେ ଅଛି ଏମପିସି ଅଟୋନମସ କଲେଜ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା। ସେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ରେ ଆପଣ ଜଏନ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ଆପଣ ଇଏ ଭାଇ ସଂଗ୍ରାମ ଭାଇ।
ହଁ ହଁ ମୁଁ ତମ ନମ୍ବର ଶୁଣ, ତମ ନମ୍ବର ଲେଖିଦେଇଛି।
ହଁ ହଁ।
ଲାଇନରେ ରୁହ ମୁଁ ଜଏନ କରିଦଉଛି।
ଗ୍ରୁପ ଆଡମିନ କରିବେ, ଆପଣ ତ ଆଉ କରିପାରିବେନି। ଆଡମିନ ଯିଏ କରିବେ ଆଉ, ଆପଣ କେମିତି କରିବେ ଆଉ?
73817 ଏଟା କାହା ନମ୍ବର ଆରମ୍ଭର?
ହଁ ମୋଟା ବା।
ଭାଇ ଟିକେ ମୋର ଆଡ କରିଦେବେ ଟିକେ। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ହଉ ହଉ
7381743702।
ହଉ ହଉ ତୁମ ନାଁ ଟା କଣ କହିଲ ତି?
କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ।
କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ଭାଇ
ଲେଖିଦିଅ।
ମୋର ଟିକେ ଆଡ କରିଦେବେ।
କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ଇଗ୍ନୋ। ହଁ ଭାଇ କୁହ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ମୋର ଟିକେ ଆଡ କରିଦେବେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ରେ।
ସେ ଯିଏ
ହୁଁ ଏବେ
ଆଡମିନ୍ ଅଛି ତାଙ୍କ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ, ଆପଣ ଆଡମିନଙ୍କ ନମ୍ବର ଟା କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଆମେ ସବୁ ନିଜେ ନିଜେ କରିପାରିବା, ହେଇଯିବ ଅସୁବିଧା କିଛି
ମୁଁ
ହବନି।
କଣ ଜାଣିଛି, ମୁଁ କଣ
ତୁମ ନାଁ ଟା
ଜାଣିଛି।
କଣତି? 77
7735
ହୁଁ।
923844।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଏଫଏମ ରେ କେହି ଅଛନ୍ତି କି ଆଉ ଭାଇ? ଏଇ ଏଫଏମ ଅଟୋନମସ ରେ? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ବାଲେଶ୍ଵର
ହଁ ଏଫଏମ ଅଟୋନମସ ରେ କେହି ଅଛନ୍ତି? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
ଥିବେ କିଏ ମୁଁ ଆଉ
ଯିଏ ବି
ତ ଜାଣିନି
ଶୁଣ ଶୁଣ,
ବିଷୟରେ।
ଯିଏ ବି ଥିବେ
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ସିଏ ବି
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ମାନେ ଇଏ ହେଇ ସାରିବେଣି।
ମାନେ ଏକ୍ଜିଟ କରିସାରିବେଣି ହଁ।
ହଁ ସେ
ତୁମକୁ
ହେଇଥିବ,
ଆଡ କରିଦଉଛି ଆଁ।
କେତେ ପିଲା। ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆପଣ କଣ
କ୍ଷୀରୋଦ ଆଉ ଜଣଙ୍କ
ଆଡ୍
ନାଁଟା
କେମିତି
କଣ?
କରିବେ ଯେ?
ଆଡେ ଅପସନ ଅଛି।
ଓହୋ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା, ସେଇଟା ଆମେ ଏତେ ଜାଣିନେ, ଅପଡେଟ ହେଇନି ଆମେ ଆଉ ମୋବାଇଲରେ ଏଇଗୁଡା ସବୁ।
ଆଉ ଦେଖ ଇଆଡେ
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା
ହେଇସାରିଛ।
ଓକେ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ମେନି ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କସ।
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ କଣ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ ବା ଜଏନ ହେଇନଥିଲି ଭାଇ। ଆଜି ଏ ସାର୍ ମତେ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ କରିକି ସିନା ଏ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଜଏନ ହେଲି।
ନା ଆମେ ଅବଶ୍ୟ କ୍ଲାସ କରୁଛେ ଯେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏଇ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷଟା ହେଇପାରେନି, ଇଣ୍ଟାରାକ୍ସନ ହଉନି। ଆମେ ସବୁ ଅନଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାସ ନା, ଧରା ଜଣା ପଡୁନି। ଫିଜିକାଲି ସିନା ଦେଖା ଥରେ ଅଧେ ହେଇଥିଲେ ଜଣା ପଡନ୍ତା, ଦେଖା ହଉନି ଆଉ। ହଉ ଠିକ
ମାନେ
ଅଛି
ଭାଇ
ଭାଇ,
ଆମ ପାଇଁ
ଠିକ ଅଛି ଆଉ ରଖିଦବା ଆଉ। ଆଜ୍ଞା ହଁ।
ଗୋଟେ ଦିନ ପୂର୍ବରୁ ପଢିଆ ଲେଖିବା। କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ସେଇଟା ଦେଖିବି ମୁଁ କହୁଛି ହେଲା।
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆଜି ମୁଁ ଲାଷ୍ଟ ଯାଏଁ ଅପେକ୍ଷା କରିବି, କିଏ କାଟୁଛି ଦେଖିବା।
ଓକେ ଭାଇ ମୁଁ ରଖୁଛି, ଫୋନ ଚାର୍ଜ ନାହିଁ ରଖୁଛି।
ହଁ ଭାଇ ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ରଖିଦବା ଏଥର, ରଖିଦବା ସବୁ। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଭାଇ, ରଖୁଛି।
ଦେଖିଆ ଦେଖିଲେ ଇଏ କଟିଲେ, ଆଉ ସବୁ ଅଛନ୍ତି। ଇଏ କି ସେମିତି ଲାଗିଥିବ ସେମିତି। ହ୍ୟାଲୋ। ଏଇ 3 ଜଣ 4 ଜଣ ଅଛନ୍ତି। କୋଉଟା କାଟିବି? କଟୁନି ତ। ସେଇଟା ଏଇ ଯୋଉ